This is former All-Pro Dolphins lineman Richmond Webb, and you're listening to The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by GridArmo, an interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what all other fans have called also. Check out GridArmo at www.gridarmo.com. I'm your host for the Bengals weekly show, Mike Goodpaster. I want to welcome in my co-host, former Bengal linebacker Joe Kelly.
Hey, what's going on, Mike, man? It's a nice night, beautiful night, man, and a beautiful night to talk about some football.
Yeah, we only got 2 more months, and the season will finally start, so everybody in this area can stop watching the Reds, which I think people did a couple of years ago anyways.
Right. Biggest thing, stop reliving that nightmare playoff game. So I'm ready to in for anything. OTAs, training camp. I'm just ready for anything right now.
All right, we've got a special guest tonight. He's the new Bengals beat writer for The Grueling Truth. You can check his articles out at gruelingtruth.net. His last one, very good article on William Jackson, the Bengals' first-round draft pick. Help me welcome to the show, Mark Fightmaster.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for being on, Mark. Let's go ahead and we'll start off with the free agency. The Bengals re-signed George Iloka, Pac-Man Jones, Brandon Tate, Vinny Ray, Pat Sims, Brandon Thompson, picked up LaFell and Dansby, ended up letting Jones, Sanu, and Nelson go. What's your first take on all the free agency moves they made, Joe?
I think although Pac-Man was getting a lot of flack at the end of that end of the season because of the obvious penalty that he got. I think that was vital for our defensive backs to get him re-sign, get him back in the mix. I was with one of the safeties. I figured they would go ahead and sign George basically because of his age. I was just in fear that we were going to lose both Iloka, and Reggie Nelson. So, I was excited that they, we did. We were able to retain at least one of those guys. I think Dansby. I think that's an upgrade at linebacker. Even though he has a lot of miles on him, but I think he's still a good football player. I think he can still make some plays. So I thought that was a pretty good pickup. As far as signing our interior defensive lineman for depth, I think that was good. Because nowadays there's with so much passing and wide open offenses. I see last year they did a lot of rotating, 4 guys in, 4 guys out, and I think that's the premise of really what they want to do. In order to maintain those guys being fresh. LaFell, I think he brings some experience to our wide receiver core. But I thought we could do better. I think we need some speed, obviously, to be able to stretch that field. Overall, I think as a whole, I think the Bengals, I think we did well. I think we did enough to continue the momentum that we had and last year going into this year. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for this year.
All right, so, Mark, we go to what the Bengals lost. They lose Jones, Sanu, and Nelson. Do you agree with those 3, or do you have a different take on what they should have done?
Mike, the loss on the wide receivers, Andy loses 2 weapons, but the thing is, I'm starting to get to the point where I trust the decisions they make. I don't mind losing Sanu as much as I mind losing Jones. I think Jones is more of a stretcher. He can get downfield and open things up on the other side from A.J. Green. Now, can Brandon LaFell do that? I don't know. Can Tyler Boyd do that? I don't know. It's yet to be found out. Maybe they think James Wright can do it. Maybe they're comfortable enough with a couple of the people they have on their roster. So those 2 bothered me. That one bothered me. Not so much Sanu, more Jones. As far as losing Reggie Nelson, lost a solid player back there, but apparently these guys have enough confidence in Iloka and in Sean Williams to cover for him. So and they're younger. Reggie getting up there in age. Good player. We got we got great play out of him for the years we had him. He's a ball hawk. So we'll see how the young guys do. A little bit of a youth movement in the defensive backfield. So, but again, I think the biggest loss, we'll feel the biggest loss is in Marvin Jones.
Yes.
Well, I think this. I think still, though, with the production they have, it's impossible to pay those guys $7-8 million a year each, which is what they ended up getting.
Excellent point.
And I mean, right now, our number 2 receiver is Tyler Eifert, but then we get the news, I think it was today or yesterday, that he's actually going for surgery and will be out 3 months, which makes that a little bit different. Maybe we should have gave one of them $7 million because, I mean, I think that Croft and Hewitt, very good tight ends, but Tyler Eifert's the number 2 wide receiver on this team. So if he ends up not being able to play right away or for an elongated period of time, you could lose your 2, 3, and 4 receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'll definitely hurt us.
Now, also today, Joe, I don't know if you heard about this, but the Bengals are bringing Dwight Freeney in to work out.
Yeah, I did. I seen that. I seen him play a couple games last year, and he still has a little in the tank. But it the thing about it, it'll be interesting to see. Because when you bring a guy like that and you sign him, you're going to expect a guy with that has had the career that he's had to come in, and you're signing him to play. You're signing him to come in and make an impact. So I think when you're building a team, you have to be careful the way you build a team. Losing Nelson, I understand that. Being, because I kind of seen that, with myself. I've seen that with other veterans. You have a great year, and because you're that dreaded 30, you're past that 30. They I don't think Sean Williams is as talented as Reggie Nelson, but when you make a move like that, you have to protect the future. And that's what they did, with Reggie Nelson. But with Freeney, you have to be careful that you don't disturb the camaraderie, and you have Michael Johnson, you have Dunlap. So I don't know if you've given up on the tall kid. I can't recall his name.
Marcus Hunt.
Marcus Hunt.
Yeah. So the thing is, you have to. I understand, but you still, football is still a chemistry. You still have to have chemistry. I don't care who you are. There's a chemistry that has to a culture that has to be able to sustain. Because when you look at a successful team like New England, it's chemistry. It's a culture because they have guys and they just put them in. There's another guy, and this guy was just a guy, but now he's in that system. He's fitting within that culture that Belichick has established. He's bought into everything that Belichick is selling, and the guys get it. So you have to be careful when you're bringing guys in, and that you don't disrupt what we have going. And I'm still excited, man. I think what we have going, we have as good a chance this year, even though I thought we had that chance last year, as any team in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, Marcus Hunt, it's been 3 years, and you called him that tall guy, which tells me he's probably never going to work out.
Well, yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough, and this is a different Bengal organization. I wish my mom could have kept me inside of her for a little while longer. Because the Bengals, man, it's Mike. It's different, because these guys, the Browns and Katie, they're retaining guys. They're keeping their core guys. They're re-signing. back in the 80s, late 80s and early 90s, Mike Brown, he wasn't doing it. He might sign one guy, but we definitely were going to sign two. You get rid of them and you bring somebody else with a lesser price tag. And, I see that with Drake Kirkpatrick. You have a guy, this guy's a first rounder, and, this first rounder, his actually is the first time he starts. And, that was his fifth year. In the 80s, he'd have been cut. I'm drafting as a first rounder. I'm drafting you to play. I'm drafting you to play. I'm not drafting you, to come in and give me some good plays and start your fifth year. Because that's you're paying that money for this guy to make an immediate impact. I think they changed the approach, and I think it's working for them.
All right, so let's transition to the draft. The Bengals, most people said, had between a B and an A+, even I saw some people grade them out at. We'll just start at the top. Mark, you just wrote an article about him, so what's your take on William Jackson, the cornerback out of Houston?
Well, again, like I said in my article, I would have rather had a receiver, but there was no receiver on the board worth it at the time.
I disagree. I think Sterling Shepard was.
Okay, the kid from Oklahoma, right? Yeah. Okay, I could see that. I could see that. But this is again the Bengals picking and stocking up on a position of strength, and it's a position you need now. With the spread offense and I like the pick. As I said in the article, he's got some shortcomings, but still, he's fast, he's tall, he's got long arms. And he's a big kid for a cornerback. I think, 6 foot, 190 pounds? That's good size. I like that. I wrote about how in the Peach Bowl against Florida State, he used that closing speed, and he used those long arms to pick off a pass. And like I said, the pass was underthrown. And, he got beat. But he was able to make up that space when the ball was in the air. I think he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be a good player, and he may contribute right away in the nickel package. I don't know what plans they have for Shaw. I don't know how injured, or how Denard's going to come back from his injury, But I think this kid could come in and contribute right away to the defense, and he'll definitely come in and contribute to special teams. He's going to come in and be a gunner on the punt team more than likely, take over where Drake Kirkpatrick was. And do that for us. I like the pick, and for a long-suffering Bengals fans, it's nice to be able to say that this team has a plan and they are sticking to it, and they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, my only problem with it was this. You also had Michael Thomas there, who I think could have helped us at receiver. That's going to be better than Floyd. But also you had Nick Martin, a center, which is a position we desperately need. And if you just want to go with a true steal in the draft, you take Myles Jack. But
okay, I can see that.
To me, what this tells me is possibly, I don't know, you can tell me what you think about this, Joe, but maybe they know more about Denard's injury than we do.
Well, I can tell you this: when you're drafting a guy in the first round, the guys are there. One of those guys are not going to be there. That's when if this guy comes in and he plays as well as he's capable, he stays healthy. The one thing that you can't teach speed. You take
and he ran a 4.3 240.
Yeah, Antonio Brown in the sixth round. But you look at that. His speed has turned him into a perennial Pro Bowler, and we don't have a corner that can run with him. So now we have a corner that can run with that guy. So, that being said, I think if this kid comes in, Kirkpatrick is going to have to show that he's not just a guy. Last year he was just a guy. A lot of times, in my opinion, he was a liability. But because it was only had really Pac-Man and Leon, age catches up to all of us. And age has definitely caught up to Leon. And there was a lot of times, in my opinion, where Kirkpatrick was, he was getting beaten. He was getting beat bad. I